Previously opened containers may contain dried paint or other debris, so it's a good idea to use a strainer bag to rid the paint of any unwanted sediments, which might affect priming and potentially clog the spray tip. Paint strainers are available where paint is sold. You'll want to stir your paint to make sure that it is fully mixed. Stretch a paint strainer over a clean pail and pour the paint through the strainer to capture any dried paint and debris before spraying.
Whether you're using your sprayer for the first time or using it again, you should always flush out the storage fluid. If fluid does not flow up the suction tube and out the drain tube, your sprayer is not primed. Before we start troubleshooting, make sure your bucket is partially full of water or flushing fluid. Ensure that the prime spray valve is in the prime position. If your sprayer has the push prime feature, press the button twice to loosen the inlet ball. Set the pressure control to the prime clean position. Relieve any pressure in your sprayer by aiming the gun into a waste pail and pulling the gun's trigger. Engage the trigger lock. After each of the following quick troubleshooting steps, try priming again. Some fluids may prime faster if the power switch is momentarily turned off, so the pump can slow down. Turn the power switch on for 3 seconds, then off until the motor almost stops, then on again for 3 seconds, and then off. If you see fluid flowing up the suction tube, continue toggling the sprayer on and off until the fluid comes out of the drain tube. Allow the fluid to flow for 20 seconds. Your sprayer is now primed and ready to be filled with paint. If fluid does not move up the suction tube and out the drain tube, try the next troubleshooting step. Remove the suction tube and insert the pointed end of a pencil or a thin object into the inlet and push up to free the inlet valve ball. Reattach the suction tube. With the suction tube in the bucket of flushing fluid, turn the sprayer on. If fluid comes out the drain tube, allow it to flow for 20 seconds, then turn the sprayer off. Your sprayer is now primed and ready to be filled with paint. If fluid does not move up the suction tube and out the drain tube, continue to the next troubleshooting step. Use adjustable wrenches to remove the airless paint hose. Then remove the outlet valve. Thoroughly clean the outlet valve and confirm the outlet ball is moving freely. Reinstall and securely tighten the outlet valve. Reattach the airless paint hose and securely tighten to avoid any leaks. With the suction tube and the flushing fluid, turn the sprayer on. If fluid comes out the drain tube, allow it to flow for 20 seconds. Then turn the sprayer off. Your sprayer is now primed and ready to be filled with paint. If fluid does not move up the suction tube and out the drain tube, try the next troubleshooting step. Remove the suction tube. Remove and clean the inlet valve, spring, and inlet ball. Turn the sprayer upside down and make sure the spring is facing up when the inlet ball and valve are reinstalled. Reattach the suction tube. With the suction tube and the bucket of flushing fluid, turn the sprayer on. If fluid comes out the drain tube, allow it to flow for 20 seconds. Then turn the sprayer off. Your sprayer is now primed and ready to be filled with paint. If fluid does not move up the suction tube and out the drain tube, try the next troubleshooting step. Power flushing forces fluid into your sprayer and clears out any debris that may be the cause of the sprayer not priming. Attach the power flush adapter to a garden hose. Remove the strainer from the suction tube and attach the tube to the other end of the adapter. Close the power flush valve and then turn the water on. Open the power flush valve, turn the sprayer on, and allow water to flow through the suction tube and out the drain tube for 20 seconds. Turn the sprayer off. Close the power flush valve and turn the water off. Remove the power flush valve and reattach the strainer to the suction tube. Your sprayer is now primed and ready to be filled with paint. If your sprayer is still not priming, or if you have questions on priming your sprayer, please contact our technical support.
Using an airless sprayer will take a little time to get used to. If you're new to using airless spray equipment, please continue watching for some basic troubleshooting information. In this section, we will discuss why isn't my sprayer running? My trigger can't be squeezed. The pump's not priming. My sprayer suddenly stops. There's not enough pressure. The power switch is on and the sprayer is plugged in, but the sprayer won't run. It's normal for the sprayer's motor to shut off when the system reaches the appropriate pressure setting. Generally, this means the pressure control knob is set at a minimum setting. Simply turn the pressure control knob clockwise to increase the pressure, and the pump should begin to run, and then will stop when it reaches pressure. Start spraying and the pump should start again. I can't squeeze the trigger. This generally means that the gun trigger lock is engaged and simply needs to be disengaged. The pump isn't priming. Generally, if the pump's not priming, one of four possible things has happened. The prime spray valve is at the spray position and it should be facing to the prime position. The inlet strainer is clogged with dried paint or debris and needs to be cleaned. The suction tube is not fully immersed into the paint. The inlet valve check ball may be stuck. If your sprayer has the push prime feature, push this button twice to loosen the inlet ball. For those sprayers that don't have the push prime feature, or if the sprayer will still not prime, remove the suction tube and place the eraser end of a pencil into the inlet section of the pump to dislodge the inlet ball. This will allow the pump to prime properly. Power flushing can also be effective in dislodging the inlet ball. When I'm spraying, the sprayer suddenly stops. If the sprayer suddenly stops while you're spraying, it most likely means the spray tip is clogged. Rotate the spray tip to the unclogged position and trigger the gun at a waste area to clear the clog. Rotate the spray tip back to the spray position to continue spraying. This will usually unclog the spray tip. If you are unable to rotate the tip to the unclogged position, you will need to relieve pressure first by turning your prime spray valve to prime. Then, rotate the spray tip to the unclogged position. Turn the prime spray valve to spray and pull the gun trigger at a waste area to clear the tip clog. Finally, remember to turn the spray tip handle back to the spray position so the arrow is pointing forward. The pump's running, but it's not building up enough pressure. This indicates the pump is not primed or has lost its prime. Some possible causes are: the inlet strainer might be clogged. The suction tube may not be fully immersed in paint. The paint pail may be empty. The inlet valve check ball could be stuck. Another possibility is that the suction tube could have an air leak. First, try tightening the connection to the sprayer. And if that doesn't work, check it for holes or kinks. The pump is running, but paint is barely dribbling out. Sometimes it spurts when you squeeze the trigger. Check to see if the pressure is set too low, the spray tip is clogged, the InstaClean filter or manifold filter is clogged, or the gun filter is clogged and restricting flow. Another possibility is that the spray tip is too large or it's simply too worn and needs to be replaced. If your spray pattern is more round and not as wide and narrow, your spray tip is probably worn and should be replaced. A worn tip will add labor and paint costs to your project. Resolving common airless sprayer difficulties is usually pretty easy, but if you require more detailed troubleshooting, please see your owner's manual. For further assistance, please call our technical assistance representatives at 1-888-541-9788. Now that you've prepped your spray area and are familiar with your sprayer, it's time to start it up. As a first step, if your sprayer is new or has been in storage, you'll want to flush out the storage fluid. Be sure to put on your safety glasses before getting started. To flush out your sprayer, turn the prime spray valve to prime. Separate the drain tube from the suction tube and place the drain tube into a waste pail. If spraying oil-based materials, submerge the suction tube in mineral spirits or compatible cleaning solvent. If spraying water-based materials, submerge the suction tube in water. If your sprayer has the push prime feature, press it twice to loosen the inlet ball. Make sure the sprayer is plugged into a grounded outlet. Turn the power switch on. Slowly turn the pressure control knob clockwise until the pump starts. Allow fluid to flow out the drain tube into the waste pail for about 30 seconds until the fluid is running clear. Turn the power switch off. You are now ready to fill the pump and gun with paint. Now, submerge the suction tube into the paint pail, leaving the drain tube still in the waste pail. The prime spray valve should still be pointing in the prime position. Turn the power switch on. The sprayer's motor should begin to run. When the paint comes out of the drain tube, turn the sprayer off. Disengage the gun trigger lock, point the gun inside the waste pail, and squeeze the gun trigger. Keep the trigger squeezed while you turn the prime spray valve to the spray position, then turn the power switch on. Continue triggering the gun into the waste pail until you see paint coming out of the gun. Release the trigger and engage the gun trigger lock so the trigger cannot be accidentally squeezed. The sprayer, hose, and gun are now loaded with paint. Clip the drain tube back onto the top of the suction tube so both tubes are in the paint pail. Before installing the spray tip and guard, double check that the gun trigger lock is engaged. Make sure the metal seal and black rubber gasket are in the guard. Attach the spray tip and guard assembly into the gun and hand tighten the retaining nut. Be sure that the arrow-shaped handle of the spray tip is pointing forward and that it's inserted completely into the guard. Remember to turn the pressure clockwise to increase the spraying pressure to high spray. When you're done painting, the job isn't quite finished. There's always cleaning up to do. Fortunately, Graco sprayers make cleanup quick and easy. This video covers shutdown and cleaning for water-based materials only. So, if you're using a non-water-based material, such as oil-based, enamel paints, or stains, please see your manual for specific instructions. For shutdown and cleaning after using a water-based material, turn the power switch off. Turn the prime spray valve to prime to relieve pressure in the system. Remove the suction tube and drain tube from the paint and let them drain back into the container. Wipe excess material from the tubes and place them into the waste pail. After making sure the gun trigger lock is engaged, remove the spray tip and guard assembly from the gun. Attach the power flush adapter to a garden hose. Close the power flush valve and turn on the water to the garden hose. Open the power flush valve and clean off the suction tube, drain tube, and inlet strainer, then close the power flush valve. Remove the inlet strainer from the suction tube. Attach the garden hose and power flush adapter to the suction tube. The prime spray valve should be in the prime position. With the drain tube in the waste pail, open the power flush valve. Allow the sprayer to pump water through the drain tube for at least 20 seconds. In order to save the paint that's in the hose, disengage the gun trigger lock, point the gun inside the paint pail, and squeeze the gun trigger. Keep the trigger squeezed while you turn the prime spray valve to the spray position. Then turn the power switch on. Paint from the suction tube and paint hose is saved back into your paint pail. When you start to see the paint from the gun that's diluted with water, keep squeezing the gun trigger as you move the gun to the waste pail. Keeping the gun trigger squeezed will avoid splashback. After moving the gun to the waste pail, you'll want to keep the gun triggered for about 2 minutes or until relatively clear water comes out of the gun. When you see clear water, turn the pressure control knob counterclockwise all the way down. Stop triggering the gun and engage the gun trigger lock. Turn the power switch off and turn the prime spray valve to prime to relieve pressure in the system. Turn off the water to the hose. Remove the power flush adapter and unscrew the garden hose. The sprayer is now clean, but you will also want to fully clean the spray tip, guard, inlet strainer, and gun filter to ensure proper performance.